was a game of football before I ever kissed a girl. We used to go out driving, travel near and far, nearly every Sunday in me father's old Ford car. He'd be pointing out the landmarks everywhere we go. Through that twisted, turning, winding road. Throw you in. Go down.
So it's got a beat and a little
Yeah,
bit of,
it's
oh,
like
how
pop or
nice.
rock and roll
What's the name of
songs.
the group?
The band is slightly pagan, I suppose.
They're just great crack.
Trash dictionary, we call it.
We have a certain amount of tours that seem to crop up perennially, like March in the States is always a great demand for us, and we seem to be able to go to the States in August as well in the holiday times. And then people seem to expect us to be in Britain in December. We do get an odd trip to somewhere like Finland or Denmark or somewhere for festivals during the summer.
My time has come. Won't be long. I'll be moving on.
We fit all them in, and then we try and figure out getting a new album thought about and recorded all the time. So, I mean, that's the big challenge for us now, is to do a new album and get it out as soon as possible, and hopefully it'll be the best sought-after album yet.
You wanna hear my guitar? You wanna hear my guitar? You wanna hear my guitar?
Actually, we've never stopped, you know. It's just that we haven't been doing it in Ireland for so long. Like people think we're broken up. There was a conscious decision made just to say, well, we'll travel abroad and we'll see, does the music travel abroad? Because I can remember reading a few things in newspapers saying that this was very colloquial and it'll never get outside. The songs that we wrote about could be any town in the world, and we were going to go out and play them out in America, England, Scotland, Wales, wherever. And then we just built up a great fan base.
Matter of fact, because of you guys, we did a Irish trip last year.
Really?
Well, Christmas time, and we did the N17.
Same old faces, same old streets, same old people is all you meet. Too long waiting, standing round. I'm sick and tired of the same old town. Oh, same old drizzle, same old rain.
You know, as a kid growing up in the west of Ireland, you know, and being into rock and roll was always something that came from outside.
Lost and found, same old story.
This was the band which actually didn't seem to understand that their roots were where they were, and their music was all of that place, and yet it was undeniably, unmistakably rock and roll.
It was something that was not merely regional, but I saw it as something very authentic. And it opened up a debate about what they were at. Was this just stuff from the hills, or was it much more?
You'd often wonder, as the years go past, why'd you ever bother going to mass? Was it the fear of God, or to find a wife, or just buying shares in the afterlife?
It's one of those moments where, like the Pogues, you know, or like Martin McDonagh, where when you hear something, you think, your first thought is, I knew that. You know, I could have written that if I'd only been less neurotic or hung up or deaf or whatever. That this was in me, and these guys spotted it.
And I do holiday, I go back in the dogs, take off all my clothes and lie out in the bog. And I do talk to myself, 'cause I'm my only best friend. Well, it's Sunday night, nearly Monday morning again.
Yeah, definitely the songs are definitely based in a place and a time, I suppose. Like small towns everywhere are very similar. Tom Murphy said it, the playwright, he said, you know, when he went writing plays, that he had met every character he needed to meet when he was growing up in Tuam, and he made kind of composite characters of the different ones. But anybody he met or anybody he wanted to create, he was able to do it from that perspective.
Let's call out his name, Tommy K, Tommy K, Tommy K, the DJ, Tommy K, Tommy K.
Tommy was the first DJ in Tuam in the 1960s, and he made up his own twin deck because you couldn't buy one at the time.
Hey Tommy, would you give us that locomotion? Give me my dancing shoes. Give us a mashed potato. Give us a boogaloo.
He was a bit of a punk as well. He had no regard for authority and religion and all that.
He had a disco in the Phoenix Ballroom up the road during Lent, and you weren't supposed to have one during Lent.
One man kept it going with his homemade twin deck sounds. The bishop didn't like the crack. The DJ left the town.
And he was in England, and I think he was in Scandinavia, and he came home in his 50s, I think.
It's getting better now, son.
He wasn't well, he had cancer. And he knew he hadn't a whole lot of time, so he made the best of it. And the week before he died, he was up on his deathbed, and the priest came into him and said, "Tommy, is there anything I can do for you?" You know, Tommy said, "Oh, just there is." He said, "There's a spade out there." He said, "You'd never go out and dig the garden."
He'll be climbing up that hit parade forever and a day. This song's in his memory, immortal Tommy K.
The thing I like about the Tommy K song is his spirit lives on in it, no matter where we go.
I always loved that 3 minutes of the night, wherever we are, if we're in San Francisco or somewhere.
And they're all singing Tommy K. And he'd be dead proud of that, I think, wherever he is.
From Sun Street, Chum across the Megan's Garage, Tommy Kavanagh.
They're all genuine characters and they're all important to us. And we know them all. And when we actually record the song and go back and meet them again, you go, "Oh, God, it's spot on there," you know.
Leo once said to me, you know, he says, there's an awful rake of nuns in Tuam, so, you know, they're bound to find their way into songs. Like, that makes sense. You know, it's just that they didn't exclude anything. If it was there, they saw it as, well, why shouldn't it be in the song?
We're kind of a community-based band, really, more so than most bands. So, you know, we don't write kind of universal gospel hymns. We write kind of local songs, really.
Might be raining and it might be cold, and the bishop's gone and left the fold. But we're standing proud and we're walking tall. We got Michael D. rocking in the doll for us. Michael D. rocking in the doll in the cabinet.
I think that they are describing something that is in transition. They are not describing a landscape that is sealed in time and that is challenged by the present. So you don't get crude contrasts. It's not an invention of a place of self-milking cows and carrots that pop out of the ground and so on, and some kind of bogus rural idyll. It is more about a society that has experienced and is experiencing change.
Just having that little line in the song for us was a it was a change in period in our own history because it was the first time, and it was probably the first time anyone has ever rhymed like mass and ass together, you know.
I don't think the Saw Doctors were any way at all disrespectful to the church, and indeed, they might have kind of narked them a little bit with the lyrics in a few songs.
Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. She had big brown eyes, silky skin. Bless me, Father, I couldn't resist. Father, you have no idea what you've missed. No, no.
There was an irony there that enabled people to survive. Bless me, Father, for example. That, in fact, shows how the indomitable humanism of the spirit can't be defeated by 1,000 people dressed in black.
Bless me, Father. Bless me, Father. Bless me, Father.
Well, it took Irish people a long time to realise that the church was full of fat bachelors. And if you met these fat bachelors in a mart, you'd think twice about trusting them. And the fact is we gave them an extra 50 years because we met them in a church.
Bless me, Father. Now you know the truth of it, you no longer my own.
Kind of got written off in Ireland because we were so well known for having a song like I Used to Love Her, and people said, oh, that's a novelty song or whatever. But I don't think it's a novelty song, but it was too popular and people got fed up with it. I try and play in the pub as often as possible, but we don't. See, the band doesn't often get to play in a pub together because we go off on tour for 3 weeks, and then you can't really go home to your family and say, I'm going to the pub with the lads that I've been with for the 3 weeks. You know, you can't really.
We're here, lads. And wave all our fears goodbye.
Up past Sand Rabbit Island.
You learn what songs are popular as well in the pub. It's a good acid test. If you learn a song or you write a song or whatever, you'll soon find out if it works. Just trying it in the pub.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's not a range scale, though.
Like the Saw Doctors, it doesn't look like that in the poster.
Will you meet me on Clare Island? Summer stars are in the sky. Get that ferry out from Roona. get that ferry out from Runa and wave all our cares goodbye. If there's wild and tall white horses and the swell rolls in the bay, I won't care if the boat can't sail. We'll get home some other day. Will you meet me on Clare Island? Summer stars are in the sky. Get that ferry out from Runa and wave all our cares goodbye. We'll get that ferry out from Runa and wave all our cares goodbye.
If you sit down to try and write a song, you'll never do it because you'll just sit there blank. Most of the songs we've ever written have been written. It's just like a flash of inspiration.
Sometimes we all stand in the same room and start recording something that isn't even finished yet. Or sometimes I'd write a poem and I'd give it to Davey and he'd have a tune, or he might come with a full song. There's all kinds of different combinations. Porrick might have a bit of a song, or he might have a full song. There's no real formula to it.
Take two.
Virtually all their songs mean something to me. Each of their songs seem to be in its own way perfectly formed. Their songs are like films, you know, they're just like, each one is like a little story and a little picture.
Mother would be in the front seat, children in the back. We'd be imagined Indians in the fields, waiting to attack. We'd be asking, are we nearly there? No. Wearing clothes that came in a parcel from America, to almost the same.
But I also have particular favourites. I like, Red Cortina and Galway and Mayo. Like there's moments in their songs which are just beautiful. You know, that description of the three girls with butterfly, and it's an image that sort of is enduring. It's like out of a novel, you know.
There's a stillness in the summer air, a sheepdog lying in the sun. Three young girls with butterfly nets break into a run. Now the time flies by like always. I've got my own boy now, like cowboys in the old Corolla, go and drive around.
What, another go song?
We don't rehearse very much, as you know. Rehearsal is almost a... Well, anything we need to do, we generally do it in sound checks. We do a sound check before the gig every day, so if something needs to be worked on or somebody has an idea to do something, there's a half an hour at that stage to do something.
What's your name? What? Louise, is it? You're with me. Come on.
Where are the cheerleaders?
Come on, Louise, don't let down the side. Oh, don't let the side down. Come on. All right, your pick.
Who? You didn't pick anyone.
No, she's warming up there.
Bill Jennings,
You're with me, Harry.
the tall lad in the green,
Raymond, come on, Raymond.
the lad in the red. What's your name?
He's rapping. I can't twist him. He's with, all right, so Porrick's with us.
Adrift and wearing the jersey on All-Ireland final day. I stand out there in Croke Park with the mighty part to play.
Football is pure natural for us here. I played it and we all played it. And it just Galway's our team. It's not a professional sport, so You don't pick a team, you're born into one and you have to stick with it. You've no choice.
When the ball comes towards them, I turn and head for goal. And I stick it in the corner like a bullet, hard and low.
Before the All-Ireland final in 2000 against Kerry, on the way to Croke Park in the bus, we usually play some songs on a tape just because fellas are, you know, reflecting their thinking about the game ahead. And one song we played that day was a Saw Doctor song.
Bonfires would be blazing all around the world.
You know, it really captures, you know, what it means for a player to play in an All-Ireland final. You know, there were a few players, I think, getting off the bus with, you know, maybe a few tears in their eyes, which isn't really a good thing before, you know, playing an All-Ireland final, but, you know, it was special.
Maroon and white forever, that's what I always say. Maroon and white are Galway, forever and a day. Around Galway and Mayo, around Galway and Mayo. Yes! Around Galway and Mayo.
I love you. That was a goal. Jeez, you make some racket, lads.
We always thought that the flag of Mayo's football team is very representative of the landscape. Because if you see, you have the green and you have the little touch of heather on the mountain. So that's what we started doing, the green and red of Mayo. I can see it there. Jerry Mulholland added a few lines.
Yeah. The ocean kissing Ireland.
When we reached the shore, we had the poem, and then it was just a matter of putting a tune to it.
Oh, the green and red of Mayo, I can see it still. It's soft and craggy boglands, it's tall, majestic hills, where the ocean kisses Ireland, the waves caress its shore. Oh, the feeling it came over me, to stay forevermore, forevermore. From its rolling coastal waters, I can see Croagh Patrick's Peak, where one Sunday every summer the pilgrims climb the reek, where St. Patrick in its solitude looked down across Clouvey, and with the ringing of his bell called the faithful there to pray, there to pray.
It's Walter's Harbour Fishes. Come fishing as often as possible. That's what I learned this year. You go fishing every day you can. We're just here off Rabbit Island in the middle of Lough Corrib, fishing for brown trout, beautiful creatures. The fishing isn't always good. The fishing is difficult, but it's not the reason I come out, and it doesn't really bother me whether I catch fish or not. You have the peace and quiet that you love to have. It's fantastic. And you go back in, you're totally relaxed, not worried about anything. You're moving at a different pace. It's nice and slow. It's lovely.
That was actually a poem that Leo wrote for, it was a man he knew called Ray Buckley. The actual story in Carry Me Away is everything that Ray Buckley wanted, because he knew he was going to pass away, and he loved going out in the car, you know, out fishing and all that. In a way, for Ray Buckley, it was like the best epitaph that he could have had, was to tell that story to Leo.
In the twilight of evening, follow the taillight trail, like fairy lights in the borings on the drumlins by the lane. Fill the air with stories, nearly until late. Fill your empty glasses while I lie in bed. Carry me away, carry me away, carry me away. And when the moment feels right, take me to the shore with your torches and your flashlights. Be careful in the roads. Turn north at Rabbit Island, no past Greenfield Bay. May the night be calm and gentle, the moonlight light your way. Carry me away, carry me away, carry me away. A lot of the times you're going to write out the set list when you see the crowd. Say if there's just a mad festival crowd, you just have to Ramones it. We'll make a balls of the N17 the first night, so we'll have to do that the second night anyway. The thing about the Joyce Country Kelly Band is, when we started out, we were the Joyce Country Kelly Band.
We'll do Jews and bunches, weddings and ways.
We always do the packing up, and Derek never does that.
Well, if you need a few tunes, just give us a call.
You don't see Bono doing this. Don't see you doing it much either. Davey does nothing and I do nothing. I said to Ollie, I said, I don't carry gear. I said, I'm a star. Ollie said to me, the only time you'll use stars is when someone sticks a Christmas tree up your hole.
That's true, Leo.
And the next thing you pretend to carry all the gear up. He's going to look great now on the telly. On the telly, he's going to look like he's doing something. There was 6 of us living in that. And Davey used to get up in the morning and water the horses.
Do you know the beauty of that is? We're on the way back down again, so...
Oh, Friday night and off we go. Tune the fiddle, strain the bow. Oh, we take it handy for the first few sets. Should there's hardly anyone listening yet. And where the Joyce Country Caliban playing away and we're doing grand. All if we're singing the song, won't you give us a hand? 'Cause we're the Joyce Country Caliban.
Irish Roots Rock champions. A triumphant return to Brooklyn. The first time we came over was really exciting. Well, it still is exciting to come over, but if you start a band in Tuam, it's almost beyond your wildest dreams to bring it over to America.
I got some glasses and I got the shorts. I got Factor 50 and the t-shirt, of course. I've been shopping at Penny's.
It's just not moving though, is it?
I've walked out to John's. I'm all set for the summer. Oh, all set for the sun.
It's like a cow pissing on a flat rock.
But oh God, will it ever stop raining?
It's Galway weather.
Hello here.
How are you?
Will it ever stop raining? Booked into a hostel in the town of Kilkee. We looked out the window at the mist on the sea. Way hit Ballybunion, a nice out to do. Oh, chocolate and bingo, and a door through the blue. But oh God,
If you've just entered the park, we're called the Saw Doctors.
said oh God, will it ever stop raining?
A lot of American music gave us the idea that we could write our own music from our own locality, because a lot of American music is like that.
You're in the group?
Yes.
What do you play?
I play guitar.
Oh, good
Badly.
for you. No, I don't think so, honey.
And in the window ice cream under the sand.
All it takes is a little bit of soul, right?
Well, that's...
And a lot
I
of
hope.
bolts. That's rock and roll. I'm an old rock and roller, 56 years old. I was around at the conception.
Oh Jesus, will it ever stop raining? Go!
The home of rock and roll.
It is, yeah. It's a great country to play in. And you're going down the highways, and every sign that's up there nearly has a song about with the place name in it.
We're the Joyce Country Caliban, playing away and we're doing grand. Well, if we're singing a song, won't you give us a hand? 'Cause we're the Joyce Country Caliban. Friday night, off we go. Tune the fiddle, strain the bow. Oh, we take it handy for the first few sets. Sure, there's hardly anyone listening yet. And we're the Joyce Country Caliban.
I enjoy being in the Saw Doctors. It's good fun, you know. A lot of time on the bus, you hear people in the morning complaining about having pains in their sides because they spent 3 hours laughing the night before on the tour bus.
Country Caliban. Give it stick, lad.
Enjoy playing music. I always thought I'd play music for a couple of years and then get some kind of a sensible job, but I just decided over the last few years that this is what I like doing.
We do do's and functions, and weddings and wakes. All meats and salads, buns and cakes.
Myself and Derek were in another band called The Stunning at the time. It was really exciting in Galway, like, you know, there's a few young bands starting out, but the Saw Doctors always had something different. I think the songwriting is very, very strong. Some of the lyrics, they read like poems. I'd love to see some of the songs done by other artists as well. I think it'd be an interesting thing, you know.
I was in the Waterboys during the 1980s, and we came to Galway to make our 4th record, which is called Fisherman's Blues, and the Saw Doctors were just started off then, and they were playing in town, and they invited me to come and play with them at a gig they were doing. It's 15 years ago now.
My name is Paul Stevens, and I've been hitting things to make rhythm for all my life. I just love being up on the stage. I can just be part of the fun that's happening. We understand each other. It's all worked out really well in the end. You know, we've had great success and bonding between us, and we still have that.
Anthony wasn't going to be able to make the tour. Immediately there was like, we'll have to get a bass player in. Who are we going to get to do this now? And I was just thinking, my own son David, he can play the bass, he can play the guitar, he knows the songs. He's sick of the Saw Doctors songs. So I asked him would he do it, and he said, oh yeah, no problem.
It's like if Angus Young from AC/DC came to me and asked me to be the bass player in the band, it's exactly the same feeling. It's amazing, there's nothing like it. There's all those people there singing the songs and just looking up at you, and you're just there. Jeez.
The only thing I had to get over was you know, father and son in a band is a bit corny as well in ways. But I told him that once we get outside the door, Dad's gone. There's Saw Doctors, you know, get in and do rock and roll.
There's more to me than you could ever know. There's more to you than my eyes can see. You live and learn, you watch your children grow. You pass your judgment on what you see to be. Life's mystery. This is me being me, that's just the way I am.
I probably have more interest now than I ever had, because I've got my own sons now and they've got their own music, and I actually like their music. I know that they wouldn't like me to say that, because you don't like your old fella saying, you know, that's great music, turn it up. We have to find something that he doesn't like.
But when you see his head, you know that he is dead. You want to cause you pain. You want to eat your brain.
Earth is me, my 2 brothers, and 2 other lads. It's heavy Irish rock. It's take 1 part AC/DC, 1 part Metallica, and 1 part Saw Doctors, and throw it in together, and that's our band now. He's as behind us as you could possibly get, giving us all the support and helping us out, and he loves the band as well, so that's perfect.
And now I see the path, and now I walk the path to freedom. Whoa, and I'll be on my way. And now I see the path, and now I walk the path to freedom.
In 100 years' time, if somebody was singing one of your songs in a pub, that'd be success for us. And I think that at this stage, surely there's at least one that'll carry on, and it will hopefully paint a picture of history as well.
Well, I didn't see much future when I left the Christian Brothers School.
Tuam had an awful rattle in the early, probably the early 80s, where it lost its big industries.
Now as I tumble down highways,
And I'd hope that in years to come that people would sing that and understand what life was like.
you in transit, sit there and daydream in vain, behind all these molded up problems, living on a foreign soil. I can still see the twists and turns in the road, the square to the trains, and I wish I was on that A17. Yes, I wish I was on that A17. Stone walls and the grasses. Yes, I wish I was on that A17. Stone walls and the grasses. I wish I was on that A17. Stone walls and the grasses. Yes, I wish I was on that. Yes, I wish I was on that A17. Stone walls and the grasses green. I'd be traveling with just my hopes and dreams.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, and I'm longing to get home. How I miss all your love and smile.
The years since we've had like all those run of hits where we had like the N17 and I Used to Love Her, and that all started a roller coaster ride for us, and it was just so quick.
We used to wake up on a Sunday morning and we'd be number one again. With I Used to Love, we were number one for 9 weeks. Like everybody wanted you to be everywhere all the time. Bit surreal.
But the best thing to do was to just run along with it. Rock and roll music is like that. You grab your moment and you just run with it. That's what we did.
It wasn't really that enjoyable. I mean, it's more enjoyable now, it's a lot more natural.
I asked him to bail it tomorrow. Sonny will come over tomorrow. He said Sonny got a brand new Alger. He got rid of the all New Holland. Hey!
You can't ignore the fact that the thing works, and work it does. But what is interesting is this, is that people will not simply say to you that they have identified with one particular song or one particular piece, but they will say the Saw Doctors, so it's the total effect.
20, 24 hours to go. I wanna be steady.
I kind of thought that when the Saw Doctors emerged and had this enormous response to something which was, you know, unique and a first, you know, rock and roll in a purely local ethnic idiom in Ireland, that a lot of other people would start seeing what they did and not so much imitating it, but actually reinventing it and working on
I'm
it.
telling
Nobody
you now,
has.
do not go on top of the trailer when you're bringing home the hay in Brooklyn.
And that surprises me more than the fact that the Saw Doctors are still going, you know. I'm glad they are, because there's still a hope that it will happen.
I swear to God, I'll be careful. Hey!
I guess if they ever feel as if they have to write to a formula in order to keep the audience that they want, then that's probably the sign at the end of the road, because you're just turning into monkeys then. So they'll just write about whatever they write about, and some of it will be successful and some of it won't. But the spirit that created the first songs is still the spirit that's creating the new songs.
The West away!
They haven't departed too much from who they are, whereas their hinterland has changed absolutely, utterly. We are almost tourists in our own country, and I suspect that the Saw Doctors may have been able to stay true to themselves by being abroad and coming back and seeing it and seeing the changes. And I think they reflect that in their songs with a great deal of irony and humour.
I don't think the band deserve any awards for contributions to music or anything like that. Because once you get involved in that kind of talk, then what you're talking about are tombstones. I just think they deserve to be listened to with an open heart, you know. And if you listen to their music and your foot starts tapping and you start laughing, or they remind you of a girl that you used to go out with in Ballinasloe.
The performances are wonderful happenings. They are really celebrations of the end of repression.
We'll do one more round. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Past, present and future.
Excellent. They're not going to go home, are they?
Just there's some crowd.
Great crowd. Fantastic. We nearly attained Woodstock out of it. Almost.
Just kind of twig stock.
A twig stock.
As long as myself and Leo write a couple of songs together, whatever, they'll always be the Saw Doctors. Whether we stop touring or whatever, I suppose we'll eventually have to do it because I can't get the Zimmer friends onto the tour bus.
The problem with the arrangements backstage is no beer.
I've caught more fish, slightly more than I've had hit record, so I'd prefer to have another hit record at this stage. But then again, it'd be nice to catch a fish.
Hang on. I have one.
Oh, Jesus!
Will you meet me on Clare Island? Summer stars are in the sky. Get that ferry out from Luna and wave all our cares goodbye.
That sounds usually.
I might play it up for something like that.